So I opted to read the shorter version of the gospel for y'all's sake. But I think everybody knows the whole story, right? You got a king who reaps what he does not sow and gathers what he has not scattered. And he's going to go on a journey. What are we doing with my sound here? Okay. Don't mess with me. So he's a scary dude. And he calls in his servants and he gives them each some of his property because he's going away on a journey. He gives them some of his property to take care of according to their ability. Now, do you all know a king who has gone on a long journey and has yet to return? Jesus Christ, Jesucristo Rey, right? He is the king. He gathers where he doesn't scatter. He collects what he has not sown, right? Because all things are his. So many times we think to ourselves, okay, my money is mine, my time is mine, my resources are mine, and God's going to come and take it all away from me. Well, it's his in the first place. He's gone away on a journey and we're expecting him to come back, and he's left us with some of his property. He's given to some, he's given a lot. To others, he's given very little. With a lot comes a lot of responsibility. With a little comes a little responsibility. But we're all expected to do with God's property, with God's stuff, what is going to benefit him when he returns. What's going to make a profit for when he returns. So to the one who he gave 5, he went out and traded. He was industrious and he doubled the profit. To the one he gave, was it 2 or 3? 2?
5.
No, there's 5 and then 2 or 3. 2 more, right? Yeah. So to one he gave 5, to the other 2, he doubled it too. Now, 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. There's a big difference between 4 and 10. But the master is equally as happy with both of them. Because it's not about how much quantitatively, it's how much sort of in percentage, right? So if you have a little, but you double it, you've still doubled it, right? Both of these people have doubled what God has given them. You remember the widow's mite, the woman who gave the 2 pennies? How do you say the 2 pennies in Spanish? Centavos. Yeah, the 2 centavos, right? Jesus said she gave more than everybody else because the percentage she gave was more. She gave 100%, right? God doesn't ask us to give him in our lives this much. He says, give me 100%. Doesn't matter. If you start with 2 and you give him 100%, you've got 4. Right? If you start with 5 and you give him 100%, you've got 10. Right? If you start with 1 and you give him 100%, you give him back 2, and he's going to be just as happy with you. But if you're afraid to risk it, if you're afraid to be generous with God's property because you think it's yours, or because you're scared of failing, or because you think it's somebody else's job, or you think, I have too little, what can I do? And you bury that, and you sit on it, and you say, I'm going to play it safe. When God comes back, I'm just going to stand here and say, here I am, Lord, and he's going to look at me and say, pathetic. You haven't become more than the last time I saw you. I expected you to be better. That's all he wants. He doesn't want us to be perfect. He'll make us perfect. He just wants us to be better. Have you done better than the last time I saw you? I gave you this, and then went away on a journey, and I've come back. What have you done with it? Have you done anything with it? Because he even yells at the guy, right? He says, you could have just put it in a bank. At least then I would have gotten interest. I would have gotten something back. This is where we kind of enter into this consideration. Jesus is the king who goes away, and he's going to come back. We're the servants. To some, he's given a lot. Some of you guys are really smart. Some of you are really skilled mechanically. Some of you are really skilled with wood. Some of you know how machines work. Some of you are just doggone hard workers. You can work from sun up to sundown and you're not tired and you're just like, I can keep working. Some of you have a lot of money. Some of you have been very well educated. Some of you have something in a big abundance. Some of you don't. Right? You've just got a little bit. Or maybe you have a lot of this one thing, but a little bit of this one thing. How much does God want of this one thing from you? 100%. How much does he want from this little thing that you've got? 100%. Right? It doesn't matter what he's given you or how much he's given you. He wants to see how you use it. Right? I have many gifts. Sometimes I don't use them well. Sometimes I get very selfish with them. I have a lot of weaknesses as well. Places where the Lord wants me to work, but I'm just not good at it. Like speaking Spanish. I do the best I can. Right? And I try to make profit by it. Right? This is what the Lord calls us to do. How do you do that? How do each one of you do that in your day-to-day life? Because every day belongs to the Lord. Remember, he gathers what he has not scattered, and he harvests what he has not sown. He takes everything and claims everything to be his own. You get home from work, gentlemen, you get home from work, it's been a hot day, you've been working outside maybe all day long, you come inside and you think, you sit down on the couch, you put your feet up, you kick your boots off, you have one of the kids bring you a beer, crack it open, that's number 1 of 18 that day, and this time is yours. You've done your part today, the wife is going to do the rest. No. That time is not yours. It's a different time of day, different requirements, but it's not yours to be lazy and to do what you want with it. Right? Ladies, when the husband is gone and you've done what you need to do and you've got this window of time in the afternoon before the kids come home and you start screaming at them, that time is not yours to start gossiping with all the other ladies who are doing the same thing. Cheese me. No. That's a time where you ask yourself, how can I be productive with this time that I have? Right? This is hard for me. This is hard for me, and I'll explain to you why. As a priest, my day is not 9 to 5. Okay? It's not get up in the morning, go to work for lots of hours, get done, and go home. For me, it's like get up, start work right away, and then do nothing for 2 hours. And then do stuff for 3 hours, and then do nothing for a half hour. And then do things for 2 hours, and do nothing for 3 hours, and then do something for 1 hour, and then go to bed. It's so broken up. It's weird. It's like having a family. Right? So it's hard for me sometimes. I'm not criticizing anybody for the way they spend time because I find it very difficult to do as well. It's hard for me in those little windows of time to say, what can I do that would make Jesus happy? A lot of times I think to myself, what can I do with this time to make me happy? Right? And then our resources too. So there's 3 things that the Lord wants from us, right? Our time, our skill, and our material. These are the 3 things that he gives to us to be able to help others, to be able to cooperate with his grace, right? He gives us grace, he gives us everything we need, and then he says, these 3 things are your tools. Go and do stuff with them to make me proud. right? To double your profit, right? So we talked about time. Skills. When you have that time, that downtime, what skills do you have that maybe you can go and do something for someone else? Right? I've never written a book. But I have the information up here that would make a very good book. I'm too lazy to write it. Just too lazy. I don't take the time, those windows, to sit down and actually start doing it. Right? I got lots of books in my head. Like I could probably write 15 books. I could have different topics and I could probably write 15 books. I don't do it because I'm lazy. Right? My skill is thinking. I have an ability to do that well. I misuse it so many times. I don't spend the time on it, and I don't put the energy into making profit by it. Right? I'm accusing myself of this. Right? But each one of us can say to ourselves, boy, I'm a good carpenter, or I'm a good plumber, or I'm a good manager, or I'm a good executive, or I'm a good accountant, I'm a good real estate agent. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself the question, the thing that I do to make money in this world, could I use that to help people who are in need for free? Could I do that? How could I do that? Maybe I can't do that on its own, but if I link it up with two other things, now all of a sudden the three of us can do something. Got to think about that, right? And then the material. We're not just talking about cash money, right? But maybe you've got, like, I know up in Dalton, it's the carpet capital, right? If I were talking to y'all in Dalton, I would ask this question. I don't really know what the biggest commodity for this community is here. But I could say, okay, maybe you've got a bunch of carpet, and you know somebody whose house is falling apart, and maybe you can start something and donate flooring for that to help start repairing that person's house. You don't need to do that for money. You can do that for free, right? To help. And I know you guys do this already, right? But can you look at yourself? This is what I want to leave you with, right? Can you look at yourself as owning nothing that you have, but that God has lent it to you? He's given it to you for a purpose. Everything. Time, skills, resources. He's given it all to you for a purpose. And that purpose is for you to use it to benefit your community, to benefit your brothers and sisters, to benefit your family, to benefit your neighbors. And can you look at your job, your life, the purpose of your life is to use those three things to make other people better. That's the meaning of your life. It's not to get a lot of money. It's not to retire. It's not to have a big family, although God bless you, have a big family. More power to you. But the reason of the purpose of your life is to be a saint by being merciful and loving and sharing with your neighbor all that you have. If each of us gives to each other what the other doesn't have, we all become rich. Right? If I can build a house and you can build a car, I build you a house after I build me a house, you build me a car after you build you a car, and now we both got a house and a car. Right? We can do that. Everybody here can do that. Not necessarily build a house and a car, but we got something. Right? God has given you each something according to your ability. Some big, some small, and all He asks of each of us is use it to the best of your ability to become a saint. So that when I come back and I ask you to show me what you've done with what I've given you, I'll be able to say, good job. Well done. Good, faithful servant. Enter into my joy.